Welcome to Making All the Plans. I'm Connie, and if we haven't met before, I'm a busy mom of two active kids, and both my husband and I have full time careers. My goal is to share with you how I stay on top of all life throws at me in one planner so that you might be able to do the same. I have had this Simple Stories Emoji Love 6x8 paper pad for a very long time, but I just haven't had a reason to use it yet. But I wanted to break it out and use a big icon this week. So I just flipped through to find which ones I liked the best, and I thought I would put a big icon in the bottom right hand corner. I did decide on the unicorn, even though I did like the lol face and the one with the hearts in his eyes. But now I'm just trying to think about where exactly I want to put this unicorn. I use one section for calendar events, one section for my tasks, and then since I'm not putting my work tasks on my week layout right now, I have space to do some extra embellishing. So I know that I want to put this unicorn over on the weekend, and I want some of the stars as well, but I'm going to start by fussy cutting the unicorn. Now I have multiple scissors, and I find that these small red scissors from Tim Holtz are my favorite for precision cutting like this. And I am also going to leave a small blue border around the unicorn so the unicorn doesn't blend in with the white of the planner, and it does make it easier to cut it out. My other fussy cutting tip is to move the paper more than you move the scissors. For more intricate shapes, I would definitely be holding my scissors almost completely still and moving the paper in between the scissors. So then I'm just going to figure out where exactly I want to put the unicorn. I think the easiest place will just be that bottom corner. And then I get out my Creative Memories circle punch, and I will either link to this or something similar in the description down below. But I just use the 1-inch circle punch and punch out a bunch of those stars. And then I do have to go back and use that 3/4 of an inch punch because there is not enough blue around the stars to punch an inch. So then after I get these all punched out, I'm trying to figure out what else I want to put on the page. So I grab a couple washi tape options that go with the unicorn's hair, and then I also flip through the book to see what else I could use. I really liked all those smiley faces and I like all those speech boxes, but you can't cut them out without getting a little bit of another one. So I didn't want to go with those, but these smiley faces are lined up in rows perfectly. So I think I'm going to use that. Then I get out my Proud Sticker Designs book and I pull some box stickers. I don't end up using them, but I usually go to them first. I have a lot of color options, and I did find a lot that went with the spread, but I ended up pulling out the Colorful Boxes Mega Book. I liked the variety of shapes that I had in the book, and the yellow did go really well. I ended up only using the yellow and the gray. I thought about throwing in some pink as well, but I use a lot of pink on my spreads, so I was going to stick with the yellow and the gray. So I did want that big sticker for my sidebar, and I just grabbed a piece of washi so that I had a place to put it until I figured out what I wanted to do over there. I usually start with my sidebar because I don't have as many options for it, and that way I can balance the colors across the spread. So I just went ahead and did a little sticker surgery and cut the box down so that it only covered up the top half, leaving the notes area for notes for the week. I usually use the top box for meal planning and then the bottom area for things like errands and phone calls, things that I don't necessarily know which day I'm going to do them on. And now I'm just trying to figure out how many of those smiley faces I want to run across the page. And I do cut off a little bit of the edge before I start trimming so that I can get the full smiley faces. I do decide to just do 2 rows of smiley faces, and one of them is not quite long enough to go across the right page, so I go ahead and trim 3 of those. I should be able to hide the scene behind the unicorn, so I just need to decide whether I'm going to put the smiley faces at the top of the bottom box or at the bottom of it. And I liked how it was more behind the unicorn's head at the top, but I also didn't want to make either one of the boxes really small, so I went ahead and centered the smiley face on the line. And I did let it hang over a little bit on the sidebar just so I didn't have to trim one of the smiley faces. So I go ahead and I lay down the first one, and then when I go to lay down the one that goes behind the unicorn's head, I start at the very edge so that again I can get that full face. It would have been pretty close, but the seam will not show behind the unicorn. And really only about 3/4 of a smiley shows behind the unicorn's head once I glue him down. And I just grabbed my ATG to tape him down. I know I'm not done with that bottom section, but I'm not sure what else I want to do. So I go ahead and I grab some boxes, and then I decide that that yellow doesn't quite match the yellow that I have on the sidebar. So I go back to the Colorful Boxes book. I do use the gray from Proud Sticker Designs, and I go ahead and I start putting some boxes down for the events for the week. The 13th is my husband and my anniversary. And then the 11th are soccer pictures, although I did find out that they got moved to the 10th, so I will have to use my undo on that and move it to the correct date. But I'm just trying to find some yellow accents and some gray boxes and some gray accents. So I have the Plan On It sticker with the soccer picture box, and then I laid down a box for my brother-in-law's birthday. I was going to use that pink, but then I decided I didn't want to have to try to balance the pink across the spread. And then the gray box is for my niece's birthday. And again, I am having issues getting boxes straight. And then on the 8th, my son, my daughter, and myself all have hair appointments. Thankfully, it is before soccer pictures. He needs a haircut. And then I use that little gray appointment sticker. So I'm really liking how the yellow and gray is balanced across the page. But I still need something in the bottom. So I still don't know what I'm going to do down there, so I go ahead and I get some of those stars that I had circle cut out of the page, and I laid them across the top. And I will let them hang out up there until I decide whether or not I like them. And then I grabbed the paper pad again. I'm trying to find something else to go down in that bottom section. And I really did like that rainbowish paper. And I decide that I will go ahead and lay that below the smiley faces. So I do have to pull the unicorn up so that it's easier to get that paper to lay down. And I decided that I wanted the darker colors covered up by the unicorn so that I did have a little bit more of the pink from the unicorn's hair on the spread. So I go ahead and I trim a piece for that side. And I'm also glad that the unicorn head will cover up the partial box. And after I get the second one cut for the left-hand side, that's when I really start planning out how I want that laid down. I decided I didn't love the gray, and I didn't like how if I put the pink to gray on one side and then started to go over again on the pink on the other side, that greenish box would get cut off and not continued on the other side. So I did decide to cut it and then continue it on the other side and just get rid of the gray altogether. I feel like there is enough gray without the gray box as well below. And I could have made my life a lot easier if I had decided that's what I wanted down there before I taped down the emojis and the unicorn head. So as you can see, I just have that little sliver of green that I want to put down. And then I'm going to start with the light pink over again. And then no gray at all. So I go ahead and I lay that down and then I trim it once it's down. I do need to stop using my plastic ruler for things like this though, because I am starting to actually cut my plastic ruler. So if you can see, there's just a little tiny gray over there. That would have drove me nuts. So I'm glad the unicorn head covers that up and you don't even know it's there. I do go back to the Colorful Boxes book so that I can cover up that notes and then I can use it for whatever I want. I originally just put that little gray circle down, but then I decided that I wanted a little more yellow over there as well. And I don't use that circle that's half shaded a lot or the box that has the little tabby on it. I don't really use those very much, so my sidebar is a great place to use those. Then I did decide that I liked the stars up there, so I go ahead and I put those all down. I like that they bring some of the color up to the top of the page. And I very seldomly put anything around the days of the week, so it's a nice change of pace. And it does not hinder me from writing any of the plans for the week. And I expect this to be a busy week because it is the week before school starts, so we will be trying to cram everything in. The last thing I'm going to do is put down some lines for the week, and I did grab out this stencil that I have used for scrapbooking in the past. I don't love it because it's so flimsy and the lines can move some when you're trying to draw them in, but I like that they're closer than the Happy Planner stencil and that they can go all the way across the box. Because the Happy Planner stencil is made for a classic planner, the lines don't fill up the box on a big. And like I said, I know it'll be a busy week, so I want plenty of space to write down all the things that I need to do to get the kids ready for school. If you have a line stencil that you like to use, please leave me a comment below. I would love to try out something different. Like I said, bigger than the Happy Planner, but I like my lines close together and a little more sturdy than what I'm using here. And when I get to the weekend, I decide to white out the line between Saturday and Sunday. I usually use one to-do list for the whole weekend, so I go ahead and I white that out. And while I'm waiting for it to dry, I go ahead and I clean up my space a little bit. At this point, it's a bit of a mess. So instead of just sitting there watching it dry, I go ahead and clean up my space. And then I do go ahead and draw the lines all the way to the unicorn's horn, just so that it brings the weekend more together. I thought about drawing the lines on the other side of the horn as well, but there isn't enough space there to actually write anything. So I figured I could use that to write in my son's soccer or something like that. But that's my spread for the week. It's pretty simple, but I do like it. It's a little different than things that I normally do, so I think I'll have fun using it for this week. I hope you're having fun making your planner work for you. I hope everyone has a great week, and I'll see you in my next video.